All right, we're back.
Yeah, so there are two different kinds of real estate in this area, I feel like. You have just like normal houses, and I am probably not describing this correctly, but then you have like your luxury custom built houses. And I want to know what you think the difference is, where's that price break, all about luxury versus regular.
So our market's a little bit different. I mean, when most people think about luxury, especially if they're watching any reality TV or anything, they're hearing $25 million list price, and that's luxury, right?
Yeah.
Or there's 14 car garage or something crazy spectacular. That's their version of luxury. We're in the Midwest.
Right.
Ohio.
Yeah.
And that's not quite the same here. But we have seen some changes, as the average purchase price has continued to rise over the years. Like we were just talking about, it's $277,000 now as an average price. That has bumped that luxury number up. It used to be that anything over $500,000 was probably considered a luxury home because it's going to have more features and all.
Yeah,
of
but
this.
there's like Ryan homes that are built now that
Exactly.
are 500,000.
So now it's $1 million plus that really falls into that luxury category. We've got a lot of semi-custom home builders in our area as well, which allows people to come in and be able to put some features. That used to be like a custom only process. Like that creation of a semi-custom home really opened the doors for people to start entering into, hey, I want to customize my home. I want to get the things that wouldn't be typical basic starters.
So when you say semi-custom, are you talking about any builder? Because I thought, and I may be wrong on how I thought this process goes, but you go in, you like order up a house, and you want white cabinets, and you want quartz countertops, or you pick the different design features in the home. You want a 2-car garage, not a 3-car garage, or you want a little Florida room in the back instead of just a door with an open patio. Like,
again, these things have also changed.
Is that considered semi-custom?
Not specifically. So your starter builders, they now have the design centers, and the people, like you said, get to pick those features.
So this area is like Ryan Homes, Inverness,
MI,
Fishers,
any of those type of homes, right? You're getting to pick some of these features that go into the home and make it personalized. That's a taste of the custom. But when you're starting now to be able to select any type of hardware, any type of lighting, where you really can get into the very specific details of the home process and bump out the sizes of rooms. Like you said, maybe you're adding a Florida room, but you're bumping it out. Those get into more specific customization.
Okay.
That is a change to the blueprint typically, and that process, and also a change to the price point. So once you start getting into that, you start getting into the semi-custom. When you talk about a custom home, typically more of a luxury feel, you're designing the whole aspect. Like you're involved. I want a large primary bedroom suite. I want to make sure that it has this nook. I want to make sure that's really customizing the home, and you're going to pay for that with higher price points, but you're also going to be more involved.
So it kind of starts from the beginning.
Yes.
And your floor plan is not one that you just picked off of their website. It's one that is only that house.
Correct.
Okay.
Or a limited. Like you may have a house that you've been in that you saw was constructed by a particular builder, and that's a floor plan that they can use. Now, if that's something that somebody did specifically, they may not be able to share that. You have to get permission for that blueprint to be used. But if it's available, then you have some options there. If you go through the trouble and you have an architect that designs the home because this is your dream plan, right? That house isn't available for anybody else to build.
Yeah.
So that's the real end of truly customized luxury home, right? Versus.
So that's when you just get on after it sells and you find the pictures and then you take it and you say, I just want them to kind of recreate this with a little bit of difference.
Right. Sure. But, create that color or that theme, or the actual build out of that is a difference too. I mean, a lot of people get ideas from the listing photos. That's why some of those sites are so popular.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, it's just that maybe it causes you to think about what you really like, and now you can talk with your builder or your developer and see what they can do.
Okay, so what are some things that are included in the custom level that you don't typically see below that in price point?
So again, this has changed over the years. It used to be if it had marble counters or quartz or any real stone, if it had actually engineered hardwood floors, if it had anything but basic white paint colors, those were things that were upgrades and typically not available in a starter home or in just the general housing development there. But those features have now become so common that they are part of a starting home, and a lot of developers, even basic developers, will come in and they'll utilize some of those features. So what we see now, if you're talking truly customized high-end homes, is features like a wine cellar, or you have you've got this elaborate walk-in shower that's in the primary, that's dual heads and custom tile and just all of the things that you go, that's nice.
Yeah, I saw the coolest arrangement of a shower bath situation in one of the houses online I was looking at, and it was behind a wall now. So the shower, it's not the glass anymore. There's two door frames, and then you walk behind, but in front of that wall they had like the big tub.
Yeah. Remember, we went through one like that at the Homerama too.
Yeah.
We did think that was really cool.
Yeah.
Kind of private, but it still felt open.
Yeah.
And it was a different spin on that.
I just remember the Homerama home that had the sauna next to it that was as big as the shower.
Yeah. So that's a customized, right?
Yeah.
And I think that last house that we saw was definitely considered a luxury home.
Oh, yes.
Because it was like breathtaking.
Looked
from
like
the
a
moment,
castle.
Yeah. From the moment you walk in,
Yeah.
this is custom.
So staying in the bathroom, like heated floors.
Not necessarily, definitely a semi-custom to a custom structure, right? Because that's not going to be your typical builder who's going to do that. If you do that before the home is constructed, it's certainly going to be easier than after the fact, and especially in a ranch home, because then now you're having to deal with foundation and get this in there. But so you would want to do that. There are times in real estate where this trend idea really takes hold, and geothermal heated floors was a thing that happened late 90s, early 2000s. And now people have kind of gotten away from it. It's just not as driving a factor for it. I used to think that when you talk about a smart home and you've got all of these features that are tied in and everything, that was really taking you up a level. And now it's so commonplace.
Yeah.
Because technology has become more prevalent in everybody's life that they can install themselves or they can do the different features that they want.
Well, I feel like in the 90s, early 2000s, the built-in speakers and then the closet that has all of the controls for it has really been kind of canceled out because everything's wireless.
Right, right. So I think another aspect of the luxury is just space. Like you walk into a kitchen and it's a large kitchen. Like you've got a butler pantry, you've got a separate prep area, you have all of those are features, the types of drawers and pull-outs and storage that's included. A lot of times your high-end listings are going to have the level of cabinetry is a uptick. So it's better quality, solid wood designs instead of any of the other laminate type products or anything. Those are things that add to that aesthetic.
So what do you think about appliances? Like the larger and, normal range is 30 inches, the larger like 36-inch range, the wall ovens, the commercial size refrigerators. I feel like that's starting to become a trend in the high
In the
end
high
homes.
end, absolutely. And when you start talking about a chef's special kitchen, you know, somebody that wants to get in there and just really cook, typically they're looking for that 6 gas burner stove top, right? And that is then the feature where they have multiple ovens. Everything is convenience and higher rating of service. So it's not just your general GE appliances typically. Not saying that GE doesn't have a high level of service or anything like that, but they will go with very specific products at that point. When it's
Yeah.
a custom home and if you are a cook, then you know the brand of appliances that you want in there. You know,
Yeah.
you start talking about Sub-Zero appliances, you talk about, you know, the double doors, and you've got all of this stuff that you can start imagining how the food's going to be.
Yeah. Have you seen the appliance garages? I love those.
Yeah.
Where it's your backsplash and it will just go
Raise
up,
up.
and then you have all of your appliances there. So you don't have your coffee maker and your toaster oven and your air fryer and everything just sitting.
Right.
Because I feel like millennials and beyond don't like clutter.
Right.
And we like just,
Clean.
yes.
Yes.
And nothing on our counters. And I feel like that really just like puts it away and organizes it.
Right. Now, the starting of a garage appliance is that the corner cabinet where it slides down a little thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about you have a marble backsplash and it rises up, and now you see your appliances.
Yeah.
Or, you know, something on the island where you pull it out and it actually rises up, and now you have your cake stand, your mixer that you can work on, and you're not even having to move it.
Yeah.
Those are nice features, again, very specific for the user, but also higher end.
And then so moving on to pantries, with the butler's pantries and whatever. So now I feel like the trend is that it just looks like a cabinet door, but you open it and then there's this whole room behind there.
Right. And again, you know, trends have gotten away from formal dining and hosting these events and having a dining room that's set up with the china hutch and the butler, the buffet or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get that feel of being able to entertain but not have that sitting there most of the time not used? So the idea of having a separate preparation area, a butler pantry if you want to call it that, allows for it still to be serviceable and not really detract from your day-to-day, but it's there when you need the extra space.
Okay. And so some just part of the building features, rounded corners
Yep.
is luxury here, but apparently in other parts of the country, that's just standard.
Right. It was very standard in Arizona when I was out there. It was just like the norm. And, you know, then you talk about here, the level of drywall finish, whether or not you have a stamped ceiling or you have a flat ceiling, these are all things that start getting into the nitpicky of adding to what's that perceived value level. But the exterior is the other thing that we'll start talking about in a luxury home when you start stepping up. So your starting home, your basic builder is going to talk about a frame with maybe a front brick panel, and then the rest of it's vinyl. Well, that is certainly not at the level of a high-end home. So when you start talking about having full brick around, you start escalating the price, you start escalating that level of expense and luxury. And anytime you start getting into more specific finishes, then you're going to start buying up.
Okay. And then on the inside, like the vaulted ceilings, not in like your main living room where it, you know, goes all the way up, but just like 12-foot ceilings,
Right.
or 10-foot ceilings instead of like your average, what is it, 8?
Yeah. So older homes, Victorian house era and things like that, that's where people really love that, is that it had the 12-foot height, you have the large windows that are from ceiling to floor. People really enjoyed that, but then they didn't want the old home, right? So when you start talking about that expanse, as we were talking about the primary bathroom having that large feel, or the kitchen being larger, that largeness also comes from the ceiling height. So anytime you exceed that 8-foot ceiling height, you go to 9, you go to 12. Now you're starting to get into the customized building, because it's not just generalized for straight 2x4s and things.
Yeah.
So that's where that starts to factor in there. And then obviously you just feel like you're not cramped. In a luxury home, typically it's not going to be cramped. Now the funny thing is we're talking here in our communities.
Yeah.
You know, house prices in California have been through the roof, and you could have this little shanty of a shack that's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home, and it could be $1 million plus. That's not what we're talking about. Even that home here wouldn't qualify as a luxury home.
Yeah, correct.
So there are not necessarily just dictated by the price point, but dictated by the features that the home presents.
Okay. And then, so what about storage for a luxury home?
Generally, they're going to have a dedicated space that's formal. Like, you know, this is built-in shelving units. They have the extra garage space that's not being used by a vehicle, you know, that's dedicated for the storage itself. Or in the basement, typically they'll have an unfinished area that, or it may be finished, but it's storage prepped.
Okay.
Those are things that you can generally look for as well.
And then what about outside? So like hardscapes.
Yes, they definitely spend the money on the exterior as much as what they're doing on the interior. They want that first curb appeal to match, and a lot of those luxury developments, they're on larger land sizes, so they're not on a 1/4 acre. They're typically at least a 1/2 acre to more, and it is definitely finished on the outside, usually mature trees or not brand new trees, because they can afford to bring in the tree that's already rooted and have it planted, right? And a lot of times you'll see other exterior features. Maybe there's a garden path and, you know, a brick paver, and some of these things that escalate again in the level of expectations.
Okay. And like exterior lighting.
Yes.
I feel like that is, and we're not talking your solar lights, you know, that you buy at Costco and put in, like stuff that's actually hardwired in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So again, a part of that feature, and a lot of times it's sound systems that are wired throughout the property as well, interior and exterior. That lighting that comes on automatically, you know, it's maybe solar controlled or time controlled, but there is this well-kept, manicured look to the home, from exterior to interior, typically when we're talking about luxury.
Okay. And so one of the other things that we haven't talked about is in the luxury homes, you see custom iron.
Yes.
Which is my
That's your
expertise.
specialty.
Yeah. But you see like custom mailboxes. You see it's not your prefabricated railing that they just come and
The
put
one that
in.
wiggles?
Yeah. It's actually, you know, starts as big 24-foot bars, and it's cut, and you, like, some of them will even have like a monogram in it.
Exactly.
And then on homes that are out more in the country, well, in this area, like in California, it's right downtown, but driveway gates.
Right. The gates are a thing that just lets you know that it's not a pass through for anybody. You know, you got to know who's going in there, right? And I've even seen where they bring that detail inside the home. So the stair banister, again, not just your typical wooden banister that goes down, but if they have the iron, a lot of times we've seen that inside as well. And it's the attention to the detail. It's the consistency of the feel that really brings that into the luxury realm. That's what sets it apart.
And so working with a lot of the custom home builders in this area, they also have a designer that, you know, went to school, has the experience, and knows kind of what the trends are and what will add more value to your home.
Correct. And trusted to know that just because it's a trend doesn't mean it's what you want. So you measure what's trendy, but what are your needs and likes, and then what's the value add. You know, you don't want to spend $20,000 on something that isn't going to add you any value.
Yeah.
Unless it's just what you want, and then you will. Like having a basketball court in the basement,
Yeah.
Not many people are looking for that. So it doesn't really add value, but it's a sure wow factor for somebody that likes it. And it's definitely a want for somebody who uses it.
Or an interior pool
Yeah.
is a big one.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think with social media, the internet, TikTok apps, and even these real estate shows, that the features are more people know about them, they're more prevalent?
For sure.
So now they're kind of those features that were only in custom built homes are kind of in normal homes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so we just have so much more exposure to what our options are, which I think is really a part of the buyer trend as a first-time home buyer. The things that they have on their list now, that was a second, third, or fourth buy-up from somebody previous. You know, they never thought to ask for, you mean I can have that?
Yeah.
They didn't think to ask for that because that wasn't common. You know, my house growing up was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home. And then we finished the basement. We added a half bath. It felt like, ooh, this is a win, right?
Yeah.
And I am like, no, I need at least 2 baths because I have kids and I want to make sure that they have a bathroom and I have a bathroom. And now you want to have a bath or a bathroom, at least a powder room for your guests when they come over. So now you're up to a 2.5 bath, and it's like, holy crap.
Or the animal stuff.
Yeah.
So there's like a laundry room, and then there's another room right by the garage that you can.
Dog wash.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's again where we're starting to see these trends. And once you see it, it's like, oh man, that makes sense. Why would I fight with my dog in my bathroom?
Yeah.
When I could just have his own little area outside, right?
Yeah.
Or inside, but separate.
Yeah. What is the coolest feature you've ever seen in a home?
Oh man, that's tough to say. I mean, I think that I would be hard pressed to say. Depending, you know, what I'm awed by is probably different than what another person is going to be awed by, but I have definitely walked into some kitchens that I thought, oh man, this is great. Like having that extra workspace and just all of the cabinet storage, 2 ovens. I mean, I think that's a great feature.
Yeah.
But I love that kitchen that also has an area that you are doing prep, but your family can sit there. I'm a quartz fan, so I will do quartz over marble. But then a dining area that's there, and then a separate dining area. I mean, that was a spectacular home if you were going to have family and entertain, friends come over. That setup really worked in a lot of ways. I became more practical over the years and what's easiest or whatever, but I'm a sucker for a large primary bedroom suite. I want to have that private space and really have the room for the clothes and the shoes. Although I've switched gears, I want shoes now in the garage. I don't want them to come into the house. So I'm designing a house in my head, and
Yeah.
it's like if I ever walk in and I actually see that, I've seen that trend has started in smaller ways. They're not having a dedicated closet per se, but I have seen now several homes recently where they have shoe storage in the garage before you come into the house. And I love that idea because we bring so much in off of our shoes that by the time you think of it, you're in the middle of the house and it's too late. But,
Yeah.
so, you know, but definitely there have been some homes where you just walk in and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I think that wow factor was at that Homeorama, the last one that we saw.
Yeah.
That was a real wow. It
Definitely.
was like beautiful setting, the long driveway coming up. It had the multiple car garage. And then that entry was just so elegant with the wood paneling and everything.
Yeah.
And then the space. And then the kitchen was to die for. I mean, you know, that one had a lot. That was a nice home. That was
Yeah.
my last wow factor probably.
Yeah. Definitely upstairs. I remember the showers for the kids'
Yep.
rooms.
More like an alcove where they got in there and it's like,
Yeah.
you hate to take a shower and feel like you're cold and getting a draft.
Yeah.
That was nice.
So I feel like this is something that's only been on custom homes, but the Costco door, have you seen those? So it's like a little door that goes from your garage straight into your pantry.
Oh yeah.
And so you just put everything in there.
Yes.
I feel like you don't see those on your typical home.
Yeah.
But that is one of my favorite.
Yes. And I had a listing way back that had it was a grocery elevator. So you put it in and then it took it upstairs. So the kitchen was the next floor up from where you pulled in.
Okay.
And then that took that up, which that is a nice feature.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say you definitely like that.
Which elevators, that's another thing that is in some homes that, the built-in elevator, not the older scooter that goes up the stairs.
And that's a thing that you're seeing a change, because as our seniors are staying in place, they're having to look at how can I retrofit this 2-story home, or how do I get around when I need to. And the design of those elevators has really started to elevate, where it's sorry for the pun, where it's now not that rabbit. You feel like you're squashed into this tin can or something and having to go up and wonder if it's going to get stuck. That they've made it a little bit nicer and smoother for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's cool to see what is out there in homes. And I know that definitely in this area, we don't even see half of what, California, New York, Florida.
Yeah. I mean, and it's
does
a
have
totally different market, but you also want to know, start saving your Pinterest ideas if that's the thing. Save the videos so that you can have some idea of, hey, this is what I like. But it still ultimately comes down to your price, where you're actually looking, and then also to what makes you feel like it's home when you get into it.
Yeah.
Because you could think all of these things are important, but then you get in there and it's like, oh man, I have to maintain this.
Right.
I have to upkeep this. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Somebody who doesn't want to live on an acre isn't going to look at a house that's sitting on a larger plot, because they just don't want to have to do all of that upkeep or anything.
Yeah. And I would very much rather have a homey home than a large castle.
Yeah. Buy for what your needs are and what you could grow into, but still enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just watch those shows on Netflix to see what else is out there.
Well, and also to gauge your level of expectations. Is that really what you want? Or I know you're glad that TikTok is still back out there now. So you...
Oh, I am. Definitely.
Thanks for joining us today on the Realty Podcast. If you enjoyed the knowledge and entertainment today, please subscribe and share with your friends. We will be embarking on a journey that bridges the gap between realtors and clients, uncovering the heart and tea of real estate.